put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion, going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
S-I-C-K,
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. CF Montreal Talk.
Here's the chance. Here's the chance. Let something go. Absolutely incredible. Cameron Porter delivers the goal to send Montreal Impact into the CONCACAF Champions League semi-final.
The sickest CF Montreal podcast. Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. Playground, your premier gaming destination. Complete Striker. And Innov Sport.
Collaborer avec Innov Sport, une compagnie d'ici afin de dynamiser l'apprentissage et la pratique du sport pour tous et partout.
Les différents produits permettent de rester actif tout en développant sa confiance, son autonomie et sa technique. Des produits efficaces, progressifs et personnalisés avec le logo de votre école.
Innov Sport, pour tous et partout.
It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast, live from Kitchen73 on Boulevard de l'Avenir in Laval, where about 100 people gathered here today for pasta, pizza, fries, and hopefully Italy. And as it turns out, they got the pasta, the pizza, the fries, and all they got from Italy was they were there physically on the field, but absolutely dominated in what I thought was a clinic by Spain. Joining me is former Canadians men's national team player and former coach and player with the Montreal Impact as well. John Limniatis, how are you, John?
Everything is foreign, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately, yes. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. Also brought to you in part by La Bite ATB. La Bite ATB, of course, they need no introduction. And I'll talk to you about them in just a minute. I'll also talk to you about Playground. Their Summer Million is a must-play poker event of the season featuring 15 championship ring events, $1 million in guaranteed prize pools with a $500,000 guaranteed main event. Playground's Summer Million Poker Series, June 20 to July 1st. Visit playground.ca for details. I want to start it off by thanking Robert and company and everyone here over at Kitchen73 Laval and Mike, yes. And Robert's sister-in-law. It's a family affair here, of course. The hospitality has been absolutely fantastic. The spread, the service, everything was second to none. So we want to thank them for having us here and what we hope will be the first of several going forward, not only for soccer, but for other events as well. John, once again, I mentioned that most of the people that were in this beautiful establishment were wearing Italy jerseys, and they left a little bit disappointed. I have to tell you, I'm someone who has cried after Italy losses, okay? I've also cried after some Italy wins. And I'm crying right now because I just got some Nutella on my shirt, by the way. I don't know how that happened, but it happened.
That's
but
what
anyway,
happens when you eat so much of it.
You're absolutely right. Those waffles were something else. I'm not crying today. And the reason why I'm not crying is when you go up against a better opponent and they have put on in what I thought was a clinic against you, and your best just isn't good enough, I think at that point you just tip your hat and you say, well done, and you move on. You take a look at what you did wrong. You take a look at what the other team did. It's Spalletti's job now to adjust. It's going to be hard. I think there's a lack of talent on this team, but they lose by a score of 1-0. Albania tied Croatia, we know that. And Italy just has to come out with a result against Croatia on Monday.
Yeah, that's right. And if they do win, they're going to be through with Spain. Obviously, Spain qualified, so we'll see. But look, I kind of disagree with you a little bit on the fact that Spain was better, but I don't think Spain played well at all. I think
really?
I don't think so. I think they had a decent first half, but in the second half, they seemed to lose their way. Italy started to play a little bit better. They started to keep a little bit more possession. The problem was, from a neutral perspective, there were a lot of turnovers in the game, which you don't expect that from two nations that have just quality soccer, quality league, quality players. Yet you saw so many bad passes, so many first touches that were off. So I thought technically the game was poor, even though Spain, like I said before, or like we all said, was a little bit better. But still, Spain, at the end of the day, the way they performed in the first half and the way Italy performed, they should have won by a bit more than just a 1-0.
They should have won at least 3-0. I mean, there were some great chances. There was a crossbar. There was a couple of stops from Donnarumma, who, by the way, I thought was a bright spot for Italy today. The only goal in this soccer game comes as an own goal in the 55th minute by Calafiori. It's a cross that comes into the box. Donnarumma dives out. He gets a hand on it, and then the ball goes off of Calafiori's knee and in. It's too bad because he's a promising young player. Came off a monstrous season with Bologna, one of the catalysts of that team, leading them to Champions League, of course. But, John, I think where the game was played is that Spain's wingers absolutely obliterated Italy's wingbacks.
Yeah, unfortunately, Di Lorenzo, who has had a tough season with Napoli. Napoli had a difficult season after winning the Scudetto the year before. But, he really had a time because the guy Williams was very tricky, capable of getting past him all the time. So I think Di Lorenzo...
With both feet, Williams.
That's right. So Di Lorenzo had a problem. The thing that surprised me is that they didn't give Di Lorenzo any help. He was left alone quite a few times, 1v1. Sometimes they tried to help him, but it should have been something that maybe a center back to go over, or maybe one of the midfielders to drop, or the winger to drop and give him some help, because he was clearly the most dangerous player on Spain's team.
He was clearly the most dangerous player, but I thought the second most dangerous player was Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
The 16-year-old who was doing to Di Lorenzo, who was doing, to Di Marco, what Williams did to Di Lorenzo.
Yeah, not as much, but yes.
Yes. Also missed the net by a couple of inches on a couple of occasions. Donnarumma made a real good stop on him on one occasion, missed right under the bar, right under the 7 on another occasion. And look, I thought that was the game. Why don't we go to the starting 11 for both teams and we'll bring it up? And here we have it. Of course, for Spain, Simon is the goalkeeper, Laporte and Lenormand as center backs. Carvajal is your right back. Cucurella, your left back. Spain playing in a 4-3-3 for Luis de la Fuente's side. Rodri in the middle, of course, a midfielder. We know him well with Manchester City. He's phenomenal. Pedri on his right and Ruiz on his left. And Alvaro Morata up top as the striker with Lamine Yamal at right wing and Williams at left wing. Italy, Spalletti's side counters with Donnarumma, of course, in goal. Bastoni and Calafiori are your center backs. Di Lorenzo, your right back. Di Marco, your left back. Jorginho with Fratesi on his right and Barella on his left, with Scamacca as your forward and Chiesa at right wing and Pellegrini at left wing. Both teams opting for a 4-3-3 formation. John, I think there's a lack of talent on this team. That doesn't mean that they can't advance through the group stage, because I believe they can. And it doesn't mean they can't go far, because in tournaments like this, sometimes, teams get better as they go on. Italy traditionally gets better as they go on. They usually struggle to actually make it out of the group stage. And sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and luck might go their way. But this is far from the Italy team that we've known in the past, where the Italy teams that we've known in the past would have as strikers a Paolo Rossi, or a Schilacci, or a Luca Toni, or a Pippo Inzaghi. And this one here has Scamacca. They have Redighi. The Italian teams as a number 10 traditionally have had Zola, Mancini, Del Piero, Totti, Baggio. This team doesn't have that.
No, they don't. They don't. The thing is that not only that, but they're players that you expect a bit more from didn't come through today. Barella, that you expect quite a lot, didn't really influence the game as much as he normally can. But I think Spain is almost in the same predicament. I think Spain, even though they are better and they did play better today, I think they don't have the teams that they had in the past either. So both teams are going through a little bit of a change of guard, but they need a little bit more time. They need a couple of years for them to get better, even though I think Spain is certainly a bit, like I said, a bit better and played a bit better. Look, Italy is traditionally somebody that you have a very hard time beating. Even though they didn't play well today, it was still quite difficult for Spain to win, even though they had plenty of opportunities to do so. Like you said before, they could have won by 2-3-0. But it's not easy for them to get beat. And traditionally, it's a game. It's a classic game for Italy, in my opinion. Yeah. In other words, they keep the score very tight.
Yeah.
They defend. They try to defend very well, even though they didn't. But the fact that Spain was not able to make it 2-0, it kept Italy in the game anyway. So at the end of the day, if it was a tie, I think Italy would have been very happy.
Yeah.
But they don't have a special player, and the other player I want to mention with Barella is Chiesa, who is somebody that's quite capable of doing things. But even him didn't influence the game. I was very surprised that he was taken out.
ACL injury over the last couple of years has not really found the form that he had several years ago when they won in Euro 2021.
That's right. He's a very capable player. So not only that they're mediocre, but the couple of players that they had were not able to influence the game today.
Okay. You made a comment and you said Italy's not the team that they used to be, but neither is Spain. Okay, granted, because the Spain that we saw dominate for 8 years or 10 years or whatever it was a Spain that had Xavi as a 6, that had Iniesta as an 8, that had probably David Villa as your striker, that had Ramos and Piqué as your center backs, had Casillas as your goalkeeper. Casillas, pardon me, as your goalkeeper. That was a great Spain team. But I'm going to tell you though, this Spain team has a 16-year-old Lamine Yamal. They have a 19-year-old Gavi, who's out with an injury, unfortunately. They have a 21-year-old Pedri. Italy has what? They have what in terms of young players?
No, right.
And I'm going to tell you something. If Lamine Yamal was Italian, he wasn't going to play on the Italian national team because he's 16 years old. I know you can't play on the Italian national team anymore. When was the last time Italy debuted a youngster?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that much of the history of Italy, but at the end of the day, a lot of coaches say if you're good enough, you're old enough. So, being young, and imagine a 16-year-old playing for Spain. I think the last really young player that played for Italy, I think, was the goalkeeper, Donnarumma, right?
Donnarumma, could very well be.
He was very young when he played with the Italian team. But look, it doesn't seem that their future is bright. But at the same time, these players, give them a couple of years on some of the younger, because defensively, I think you guys could be quite good. I mean, Bastoni is quite good. The other guy who plays for Joy's team, in fact, Calafiori. I think they're very good. And you need a little bit of time. I think
they might be better with a back three.
It could be. Mancini wasn't on, right?
No.
Mancini wasn't on. They could have done that, but it's something that Spalletti is going to look at, and certainly, they have to bounce back because they need, for sure, to get a result. And Italy is the type, like you said before, it's a type of team that traditionally they start a little bit slow, but they get strong as they go along. The problem is they're not showing much that they can improve.
By the way, Spalletti said something. I'm looking at my phone to see if I can get it here. Look at this. I'll show it to you. We have respect. He said this before the game. Yes, we have respect for Spain. He said this to Spanish journalists. But we can't think they're better than they actually are. You're not the only ones that play good football. Don't overrate yourselves. Now, this caught me by surprise because we know that, we know that bulletin board material exists and motivation for the other team. Knowing that Spain is superior to Italy in terms of level of play and in terms of talents and in terms of game breakers, I don't quite understand. Now, Spalletti's a smart guy. He's a lot smarter than me. And the only thing I can think of is he's trying to give his team confidence by saying, I don't want to hear everyone talk about Spain. Let's talk about us as well. Is it possible you, who are a former coach, would that be the motivation behind comments like this? Or?
Well, you have to be careful on what you say. That's for sure. But I think you're right. I think he said it more to kind of make things a little bit even or sound even anyway. But I don't think he's wrong with his comments. I actually don't think he's wrong. I didn't think Spain was that good.
Jeez, I don't think you and I were watching. We saw that. Well, it's a level of interpretation, right? I mean, obviously, I respect what you think. I'm just saying that I thought that Spain put on a clinic.
It's clear that Spain should deserve to win the game. It's clear they could have won the game with a little bit more. But nevertheless, I think they didn't play that well, and especially when they took Williams and Morata, they started being a little bit defensive. They started being a little bit cautious, and they started making a lot of errors passing the ball as they didn't.
That's a natural reflex, though. When you lead a game and you make substitutions at the 70th minute, you take the pedal off the metal.
Of course, but you also expect Spain to be better, in my opinion. And they were not.
I thought they were great in the recuperation of the ball.
Yeah, in the first half, especially in the first 20 minutes of the second half.
Yeah.
It's not because they really recuperated the ball. Obviously, they did.
They smother you, though.
No, but Italy just gave the ball away way too easy.
But they were pressed, though.
Yeah,
they were pressed.
But you're still an Italian player. You're still playing on a country that produces quality, and you cannot just give the ball away as easy as they did, even though Spain did well pressing.
It's been a tournament, though, where as much as people said, well, you know what, France is going to win the Euro, or England's going to win the Euro, or with the exception of Germany, and you correct me if I'm wrong, and Romania looked obviously very, very good in their 3-0 win. versus Ukraine. But with the exception of Germany, some of the more renowned countries haven't really impressed.
No, they
I mean,
haven't.
England has not impressed me yet.
No, they haven't. Even France has not been impressive. They have a very tough game, obviously tomorrow against the Netherlands, but they haven't impressed. Again, Spain did very well in the first game, so maybe you can put Spain a little bit closer to Germany. But
Yes,
England hasn't done well. They played one good half in the first game. They haven't played well so far in the tournament. So there's nobody that's really taking over the tournament and say, you know what, they're playing very well. They look like they're gonna do very well.
Yeah.
But these teams, once they get into the next round, somebody beating England's gonna be tough. Somebody beating France is gonna be tough.
Yes. Italy has always had an identity. And I talked to you about the fact that this team doesn't have a number 9 the way they used to, and they don't have a number 10 the way they used to. I can even take it a step further, and with all due respect to Calafiori and Bastoni, they're not Cannavaro, they're not Nesta, they're not Maldini.
Well, not yet anyway.
Not Baresi. They don't have the back line that they used to either, okay? So what is the identity of this team, and how do you think this team should play to give themselves a chance?
Well, for one, they're going to have to concentrate on the things they've always done best, which is defend. They have to defend a lot better. They have to make sure they eliminate the best players of the other team, which they didn't do today. Which again, I was surprised that they didn't help Di Lorenzo, especially on the left side of Spain. They have to really concentrate on defending, and it seems to me that they're more of a counter-attacking team than they are something else. But the problem is, if you're a counter-attacking team, you have to have a very speedy forwards. You have to have very capable forwards, which they don't have. Scamacca is a very, very average player that had a decent season this year with Atalanta, which Atalanta did well, but he's not a quality center forward. So
I don't
even
think so.
Even if you want to counter, I don't think they still have that quality, but they have to count a lot on the defensive play, not allow teams to score, so they can get whatever 1 or 2, 3 opportunities in the game, make sure they score and keep everybody at bay, which they've done in the past, except that they've had better teams.
I'm looking forward to seeing if Spalletti is going to change his formation. I talked to you before about 3 center backs, maybe even a 4-2-3-1. We talked about the problems that Williams was giving Di Lorenzo, and we talked about the problems that Yamal was giving Di Marco. If they're in trouble and you have 2 defensive players in front of a back line of 4, those defensive players can go and now all of a sudden take away the 1v1 on each flank, right? And go in support of their fullback.
It's a lot of us talk about systems of play, right? The system of plays is just the base. It's after that how you animate, how you play. So they can play in any system of play. It's just what do they ask for the individual player to do within the system of the game. So if you do play with 2 holding midfield, it's only normal they're going to protect the back 4 a little bit better.
Yes,
that's just obvious. But the problem is that if you do that, you tend to drop a little bit more. You do to defend maybe even more than you really want to.
You have no other choice to become a counter-attacking team at that point.
Yeah, you don't.
But that's what they are, because if you don't have a 9 out of 10, you got to hope on counterattacks.
Well, that's what I said before. I think they kind of have to bunker down and defend well and hope that they create 1 or 2 opportunities and score one of them and come out with a 1-0 win, which Italy has done many, many times in the past.
So, look, is it safe to say that if we were giving a winner today, everyone would say Germany playing at home, the way they've looked, the amount of goals that they scored?
Yeah,
they look like the front runner right now.
No, absolutely. I don't. I think France has a lot of quality, even though they haven't showed it, but they have a lot of quality.
I wouldn't put Mbappe at 9.
Well, that's the other problem that they have.
Would you put him on the left wing?
Yeah, I would put him on the left, but the problem is they don't have much of a choice. The thing is that they have.
Well, Giroud's no pushover.
No, he's not. But he's not the type of guy that can play 90 minutes. Yeah, he can't play 90 minutes. Surely he can score goals, but he can't play 90 minutes. So they have an issue. But I think they have players that can replace players more than other teams do. So that's why I think at the end, even though they're not playing well, I think they will do very well. I picked Netherlands personally to win. Obviously, that's a little bit of a long shot, even though they're a quality team. And we will see them, and hopefully we'll see a better game than today.
Yeah.
In my opinion, tomorrow, Netherlands versus France.
Poor Calafiori's got to feel terrible about this, but I saw something, and it's something that happens, right? When it just ricochets off your knee like that, there's nothing. He actually did everything right on the play. I mean, he's going there, and he's in the box, and he's trying to recuperate that loose ball or cut it off. It hits his knee, but I think I read somewhere that he's become the first Italian defender in the history of the European Championship to actually score on his own side.
Wow.
Can you believe that?
Wow.
So he's in the history books, unfortunately for him, for the wrong reasons. But we're talking about a player who has a lot of talent and a lot of potential. And his former coach, Thiago Motta, has now left Bologna and signed with Juventus. And there's talk that actually Juventus is very, very much interested in Calafiori and bringing him to Juventus. So it's a bad break for him, but he's a good player.
Yeah, I've watched Bologna play on a few occasions this year, and certainly he's a very good player. He's young, he's tough, he's good on the ball. Certainly a very typical center back of Italy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does go to Juventus. And
6'2", 22 years old.
Yeah, good
Nice
hair,
profile.
good hair.
Yeah, the hair is nice.
Yeah,
Yes,
it flows, the air and all that stuff. So, but he's a good player. He's a good player, and I think Bastoni is a very good player as well. So that pairing is okay. The rest of it didn't work out too well, but that pairing I think is okay. And if they grow together in a couple of years down the line, they will be a lot more dominant. They will do a lot better.
Spalletti disappointed me today, and I like him as a coach very much. You take a look at what he did with Napoli and the way they started to play at the beginning of the season and the way they finished at the end of the season when he was their coach a couple of years ago, when they won the Scudetto, the Italian championship. They played a great brand of football. It was Italy's version of Guardiola football, all right? And prior to Spalletti, it was actually Sarri who had started that at Napoli playing that way. But I don't understand, and I get it, he doesn't have some horses.
Well,
there wasn't an adjustment that was made to contain Williams and Yamal. There was no adjustment made, or at least I didn't see it.
Yeah, no, neither did I. The thing is that we're not there. We don't know his team exactly. We don't know what goes on in training. We don't know all that stuff. Yes, us watching it, I would have definitely given some help to Di Lorenzo defensively, but we don't know. The thing that surprised me, though, is taking off Chiesa, which, yes, we said before, he's going through injuries, but
he can't play 90 anymore.
He's clearly their most dangerous player, even though he hasn't done it, but he has the ability to be the most dangerous player. So I was a little bit surprised at that. Maybe he's
the only player they have that even if he's standing still, he can put the ball through your legs and he can make you look bad. But
he can score, and he can score goals. He has right foot, left foot. He can shoot, so he's very good. So I was a little bit surprised. Not the fact that he took him off. The fact that he took him off, I think, was the 60th minute or something, right?
Yeah,
it was quite early in the game, so I'm a little bit surprised at that. But to criticize coaches, yes, we see it from our side. The problem is we don't know what goes on in training. We don't know what goes on, and we don't know his thought process. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. I'm sure he's a very intelligent guy, and he'll do whatever he can. But the key is, and you said it too, Tony, is that I don't think he has much to play around with.
Take a look at the changes for Italy. Jorginho came off at the 46 for Cristante. Fratesi came off at the 46 for Cambiaso.
That's halftime, yeah.
Chiesa came off at the 64 for Zaccagni. Scamacca came off at the 64 for Retegui. And Pellegrini came off at the 82nd for Giacomo Raspadori. So there you have the changes. Hey, look, there's a story that I came across here on Twitter that I want to bring up in terms of Williams. We talked about him at left wing. This is an amazing story or amazing tweet by Guillaume Balag, who, if I'm not mistaken, is the guy who comes out with all the Messi scoops. He's very, very close to Lionel Messi. But he writes, the story of Nico Williams, who is playing the best football of his career, is a modern tale of human trafficking, hope, emigration, and love of strangers. Nico and Iñaki, parents, Maria and Felix, traveled from Ghana in search of a better future. They used their savings to pay a human trafficking gang to take them to the UK, but they left them stranded halfway. They had to walk the Sahara Desert without shoes. Felix has got no sensibility on his feet as he walked over sand 50 degrees hot. Maria was pregnant from William. Friends died and were buried, but they kept walking. They were arrested in Melilla, a Spanish colony, and a lawyer told them to lie and say they had come from a war-affected country, Liberia. They were introduced to a priest who helped them get the documents to stay in Spain and found them work too. Inaki was born soon after. The family moved to Pamplona in the nearby Navarra, and that is where Nico was born. Inaki only found out about his parents' journey when he was 18. Now both Nico and Inaki talk every time they can about Maria and Felix and what they did for them.
We have it good, Tony, here. Let's put it that way. We have it good here. I mean, a lot, we complain about taxes, which it's crazy. We complain about the winter, but just imagine that I coached a player with a CNHP many years back, that him and his brother walked across Europe to get to Canada. They walked across Europe. They could have stayed at any country, anyone that took them in, we look at ourselves here and we complain. But what are you complaining about? Who's complaining about this? Imagine the journey that these people have. Imagine how many people have died along the way, and it's astonishing to me. It's astonishing to me, and I don't want to get obviously I don't know anything about politics, but it's astonishing to me that first of all, people have no food to eat in many countries, which is crazy. But just this journey alone is an inspiration for a lot of us.
Yeah.
And some of our kids should be reading stories like this.
Yes.
Because we live in Italy is a fantastic country, Greece is a fantastic country, but we live in a super country that a lot of us sometimes criticize, but we don't have these issues.
You're right. But listen, I believe we live in the best country in the world, but that's another story for another day. All right. Okay. There's a lot more to talk about. And you know what? I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Canada. I know we're talking about the Euro, but tonight is Copa America. It's a tournament that has opened up to nations like Canada from the CONCACAF region, who obviously have qualified and are there. And Canada is taking on Lionel Messi's Argentina tonight in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where they're saying we're expecting about 71,000 people. Alphonso Davies was named captain of the Canadian men's national team a couple of days ago. And by the way, he's expected to play at left back tonight. We'll start with Davies at left back. You're his coach. Is that where you play him?
Yeah, I do. That's where I would play him, except that I repeat, he may start as a left back, but how he animates going forward, that might change. And we saw this, I think it was the game against Netherlands or against France, that you found him a little bit higher on the field when we had the ball and in the middle of the field when we had the ball. So he can start as a left back, but then you need your best player to get involved more often, because playing left back is quite difficult to be involved in the game a lot, especially when, I'm not gonna, I don't mean this in any bad way, but it's not Bayern. Bayern has a lot of quality players.
Yes.
They don't need Davis to do that much, but with Canada, we need him to be involved, and playing left back or not. So the way at least the way I saw the way they used them is when they had the ball, he found himself in different places other than playing left back. Now, the problem is that when you lose the ball, a lot of times that space can be exploited because the coach of the other team is not an idiot. He's going to recognize it, and they're going to try to play in the spaces that he leaves behind when they win the ball. But it's clear.
Sometimes he's able to make up for it because of his speed.
Of course. I mean, he's a quality player, and then the rest of the players have to adjust to what he does. So if he happens to be a little bit more forward, a little bit more inside, the rest of the people have to recognize it. And of course, it comes from Jesse Marsh to be able to organize this team to protect when Davis is not there. But you have to have him more involved. But the truth of the matter is his position is a left back.
Yes. So this is a debate that I've had with a lot of people. And I got to tell you, sometimes I'm confused myself. And I sometimes I almost talk myself out of my opinion is, if he's one of the best left backs in the world for one of the best teams in the world, he should play left back for the Canadian men's national team.
Yes.
It's my opinion.
I agree.
Having said that, you can say to me, well, Canada has a guy that like Adda Kube, and they can play him at left back. And you know what? You can play David on one wing, or you can play Davies on another wing, and you can play Laren up top, and then all of a sudden you can play. I understand that logic too. I do. I get it. The thing, however, is I find with Alphonso is that when it comes to the national team, I think that if he adopts the ideology of less is more, he'll be better, because I find that when he's given a more offensive role, and in the past, he's even been given the role of a rover, like you do whatever you want. You don't have a position on the field. I find he tends to do too much, and it takes away from the team play.
Yeah, but it's really hard, Tony, because, when you're a good player, and obviously you believe in yourself and you have the abilities that he has, you tend to try to do too much. And I don't think the coaches really get upset with something like that, because he does have this quality, and because he tries to do all these things, it's only normal he's going to lose the ball.
It all depends on which areas of the field he does it. Obviously, they don't want him doing it in his own half.
I think they probably rather him lose the ball than him not being involved as much in the game. So you have to give and take. Don't forget that he's a left back. Of course, I mean, the guy's a horse. He can get up and down the field quite easily. But it's not easy for him to play against Argentina and play in the midfield and play somewhere else because he's not that type of a player. We're using his abilities to the best that we need for Canada, but he's not a midfielder. He's not a forward.
What's a realistic expectation tonight for the Canadian men's national team versus Argentina?
I hope it's a lot tighter because look, you're talking about the world champions, and you're talking about Canada, which is doing very well, but there's still a big change as far as the two qualities of the team. I think it will be a lot closer than people think it's going to be. So that's what I want to say.
The last game versus France was very encouraging. It's one of the most encouraging games I've seen in a long time.
No, it is.
Because the one before versus Netherlands was not overly encouraging.
It is, but this is a little bit different. This is a bit more of a competition, even though I think Jesse Marsh is not going into this competition with looking to win games. He's looking to advance so that he can play more games to prepare for the World Cup. It's not so much he wants to win because he thinks he's going to win the Copa America. It's more to play more quality games more often. So I don't think he's really going to worry about the result part. I don't think that's an issue, and he shouldn't worry as far as the getting the results. But he needs to get his team to play better. He needs his team to continue to improve, and of course, try to find a way to get Alphonso Davies more involved in the game because he needs to. So it's to me, I'm actually happy with our Canadian team. The thing is that to play in Argentina and you don't know because it could be very explosive on the side of Argentina. People are surprised that you said before that the game is going to be sold out. Which game isn't sold out when Messi plays? So
I don't know if you've had a chance to see earlier today images in the streets of Atlanta. It's Messi mania has taken over Atlanta.
Yeah,
I have to tell you, the amount of Argentina jerseys, even Inter Miami jerseys invading Atlanta, it's absolutely crazy. John, we're in a very exciting time in soccer. Yes. Lionel Messi is in North America. He's playing in Miami. Canada is going to co-host the World Cup in a couple of years from now. They're playing in the Copa America. The Euro is going on at the same time. We got a women's professional team coming up in Montreal. The Olympics are coming up this summer. But at the same time, as much as we have all of this, it's almost the end of an era here. You see Lionel Messi, who still has something left for sure, and Cristiano Ronaldo, who still has something left for sure. But Father Time is catching up, and he usually catches up to everybody.
Yeah,
right?
and of course, it's very normal. In fact, I think they played longer than most other players, so we had a chance to see them a lot longer than some other ones. It's great. I think we talk about debates about,
but Ronaldo. It almost feels like Gretzky and Lemieux retiring from the National Hockey League, and I guess the consolation is that even though you never imagined the league to be the same. Well, at one point, a Sidney Crosby and a Nathan McKinnon and a Connor McDavid came along, and I would imagine the same thing's going to happen in world football.
Yeah, I would think so. There hasn't been really a sign yet of somebody like Messi or somebody like Ronaldo in the younger ages, even though there's good players.
Yeah.
But you talk about a guy like Bellingham as an example. The world is there for him to take over.
Yes.
So he's one of those that can show.
Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's still young. He's still quite young.
16.
Yeah. When I was 16,
aren't you freaking out? He was 16 years old. He was on that field today playing against the Italian national team at Euro 2024. He's 16 years old.
Once again, Tony, if you're good enough, you're old enough. That's a lot of coaches say the same thing. 16 years old, what would you do at 16?
There's a lot of coaches that don't have the courage to play a 16-year-old in a competition like that.
No, they don't. But he also plays in a quality team. So,
there's some coaches in Quebec that won't play a 16-year-old 1 year up in Quebec.
Yeah, well, there you go. But at 16 years old, I was scratching myself. What were you doing?
I don't know what I was doing. I was listening to radio a lot when I was 16. And so it worked out, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Jonathan David.
Yeah.
It's been announced that he is their designated penalty taker. There was a situation last World Cup where Canada had a penalty kick. David is their best goal scorer at the club stage. Kyle Larin is the best goal scorer on the international stage. And Alphonso Davies walked up to that ball, took it, and unfortunately, and I know some people were upset because Alphonso missed. Hey, listen, I mean, you're either going to score or you're going to miss. I mean, that's the way it is. But the one thing I noticed was there are some players on some teams that would probably say, no, you're not taking it, or would go to the ball before Alfonso went to the ball. Well, with all due respect to David, he didn't do so. And he didn't talk to Alfonso to say, give it to me. And it's kind of like, but,
Well, usually it's not who gets to the ball first that takes the penalty shot. Usually it's either the designated, because they have to do this, designated who's going to take the penalty shot, or they have 2 or 3 players, and they say you 3 decide, or you 2 or 3 decide who's going to take a penalty shot. That's the only time I think Alfonso Davies showed his age. I think it was very immature what he did, even though he could have scored, but he was even immature what he did, because I don't know the last time I've seen him take a penalty shot. Personally.
Yeah.
So, like you said, he could have scored, and everybody was like, great.
For sure.
Davies scored and all that stuff. But he was.
But the last time around, the coaching staff had said that there was no designated penalty taker, and that whoever was feeling it would be able to go. But after he missed that, reports we heard that there was a piece of paper and David's name was on it as the designated penalty shot taker after that miss.
Look, I don't think anybody stood up at the moment. I think if you had some leadership, somebody would have stepped up and said, you know what, you're our best player, but it's for somebody else. You can do a lot of great things, but there was a lack of leadership. And like I said before, I think he wanted the glory. He wanted to show that he's the man who does everything for Canada.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I think he showed, like I said before, he showed a lot of immaturity from that perspective, because you still gotta play you still gotta do the things that you can do well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's something that Alfonso Davies does well, because I've never seen him take a penalty shot before. He's not gonna dare take a penalty shot with Bayern.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Some of you are watching this live right now on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter. Some of you are going to watch it later on tonight. Some of you are going to watch it tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon. As we speak, it is 5:52 p.m. on a Thursday night, and we are live here at Kitchen 73 on Boulevard Avenir in Laval. And Robert, once again, was able to accommodate us, and they had a special buffet menu of unlimited pasta, pizza, fries, salad, bread, and it went for only $15, and the place was packed and everyone had a really good time. And traditionally this place has had 50-inch screens up, about 4 or 5 of them in the restaurant, actually counting 5, and the 65-inch was installed today. So you're probably watching this right now and saying, I didn't know that I can go to Kitchen 73 to watch a game from the Italian national team or Euro 2024, and we're telling you that you definitely can. And my buddy John Limniatis actually had some crepes with some English cream.
I look like a crepe.
Put a little bit too much maple syrup probably on it.
I put too much maple syrup. I put too much of everything.
Yeah, I would not puncture your finger if I was you right about now, because I think you might be scared by what it might score. But
I think English cream is going to start coming out my ears, I think.
All right, okay, there you have it. Then we had some waffles with Nutella, and I'm trying to cover up my shirt because some of it is actually on the shirt. I don't know how it got there, by the way. But okay. In ending, Jonathan David and Kyle Larin. There's only one ball on the field, and they both want to score. They're friends on the field and off the field. We know that. In your lineup, is there a place for both of them at the same time, or would you rather go with one striker?
It's again, it's tough to say, Tony, because we don't see them every day at training. We don't see what they do. We don't see exactly what they're capable of. We don't know exactly.
But can you put 2 strikers tonight against Argentina, knowing that it's 2 players who are going to?
But it all depends how you use them.
Yeah.
It all depends how you use them. Again, I repeat, the structure, which is the system of play, is the beginning. After that, how you use the players. A 4-4-2 in one team is not the same as a 4-4-2 in another, or a 4-4-2 in one game is not the same thing as a 4-4-2 in another game.
Yes.
The same team. So it all depends how you use them. I think they need to be very respectful towards Argentina. You have to be, but you can't just sit back and just absorb pressure, because you ain't going to win. It's not going to happen that way. And no matter what you do, because they have too much quality.
Yeah.
So you need to be able, if you don't score and more than 1 goes, you ain't going to beat Argentina. You're not going to do that. So I understand why he's doing that.
Getting back to Euro 2024, Group A, Germany, Switzerland, Scotland, and Hungary. Germany sit on top with 6 points after 2 games, 4 points for Switzerland, 1 for Scotland and Hungary. So obviously Germany and Switzerland there. Group B, Spain on top with 6 points after 2 games. Italy is second with 3 points. Albania and Croatia with 1 point apiece. It should be noted that Albania has a goal differential of -1. Croatia has a goal differential of -3, having lost to Spain. Italy has a goal differential of even par, John. So when they play Croatia on Monday, it's Croatia that's going to have to open up and try and go for the win here.
Absolutely. And that's going to be a very tough game for Italy. Just from a historical perspective, it's going to be a very, very tough game. I think Italy will probably prevail, but that's going to be a tough game. And if I was Italy, I would be, even though I'm sure they're very confident, I would be quite worried.
Yeah, but we talked about Italy not being the team of the past. The Croatia's neither, eh?
No, they're not.
I mean, their best player would come on for about 25 minutes left in the game.
But the difference is that they're both been winning lately, and Croatia has been doing very well lately. And they have like Italy, they have a lot of pride.
Should I take this call? It's a gentleman you know well, I think, or... Yeah, no, sorry, Pino, we can't take this one right now, okay?
And I don't know what he wants to tell us.
I should put the ringer down, which, by the way, it was down, and I don't know why it rang anyway. Okay, Group D, Netherlands and France, 3 points apiece. Poland and Austria. This is the game that the entire world's going to be watching tomorrow.
And I'm actually happy because I'm doing both those games tomorrow for
really?
For TVA, on television. Believe it or not, they put my face on television. But
it's a great place to work.
Yeah, it is. And again, it's another tough group. The Netherlands-France game, obviously, we expect to have a lot of quality or a lot of abilities. The other one will be a little bit more scrappier.
Yeah.
Because you don't have, they're not, at the end of the day, the same technical abilities as Netherlands and France, but they're both going to be very, very interesting games. They're both going to be battles in a different way. One, I think, will be a lot more physical than the other. I mean, Poland and Austria are going to be physical against each other. France and Netherlands are going to be more quality than anything else that's going to be against each other. But like every group, it's extremely interesting, and I can't wait for tomorrow.
Group B, Romania, Slovakia at 3 points apiece. Belgium and Ukraine with 0. Belgium were absolutely shocked in game number 1 by losing to Slovakia by a score of 1-0. They need to bounce back. Group F, Turkey and Portugal with 3 points apiece. Czechia and Georgia 0. Portugal got the game-winning goal very late in the game.
I liked Portugal. I watched the game yesterday, and of course their second half wasn't anywhere near as the first half. But they have quality players. The way they animate offensively is fantastic. Yeah. You find players, Bernardo Silva in different places all the time. You find Fernandes in different places. Obviously, you have the X factor of Ronaldo on the field. So for me, it was and a few quality players are not playing. You have some guys that are not getting on the field because they have a good team. So Portugal is going to be a team that's going to be very, very capable. And even though they didn't do that well yesterday, I think they'll be a team to be reckoned with, and they'll be tough. They'll be tough to beat, and they can potentially go quite far in this tournament.
I love Pedro Neto, who's with the Wolves, and unfortunately for him, he's been very injury plagued over the last. He's got a series of muscle injuries, and he just. He can't stay healthy, but when he comes in, I mean, this guy's absolutely dynamite. All right,
and they have a good starting 11. No matter what, they have a very good starting 11. Like I said, I like the way they played. Offensively, they looked very good.
It's a crazy question, but I'm going to ask you this in ending it. Is the quality of soccer improving?
It depends what you're talking about. It depends. Are you talking worldwide? Are you talking Canadian soccer? Are you talking in the?
Let's talk about the quality of the professional footballer in any league right now.
Tony, it's different. Things are different now. You had soccer, as we all know, has become endurance. The endurance levels are higher. Players are tending to run.
A lot of directors are taking a look at the pace and all that stuff more, right?
A lot more pressure on the ball, a bit more efficient technically. In other words, now you don't have the time to keep the ball 3 or 4 touches, 5, 6 touches. You don't have that because it's not the way that we play and the way modern soccer is. So now you have to be able to play 1 or 2 touch, which is actually quite more difficult, in my opinion, than being able to keep the ball a little bit longer on your feet, because you have to play a lot quicker and your quality has to be a lot more efficient. But, if it's getting better or not, that's a big story. There's a lot of opinion on it. I just think soccer is different.
The role of the number 10 is dying.
Yeah, well, it is because you the number 10 before and the number 9 used to be give them the ball and let them attack. Forget about them defending. That's not soccer anymore. That's over. Every player has to defend almost as equally as they can attack, even though that's not capable by everybody.
Yeah.
But things have changed. And soccer has become a physical thing. It's become a pressure, especially when they defend. We didn't see that before. I don't think it's better or worse.
Yeah.
I still think it's good. It's just different.
Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. We thank them for their partnership and their sponsorship. We thank Playground as well. Their Summer Million is a must-play poker event of the season. And as of right now, June 2024, Kitchen73 Laval is also serving up dinner. We want to let you know that they are serving up dinner. When Kitchen73 opened up, it was called Kitchen73 for two reasons. Number one, 73 items on the menu. And number two, open, thank you very much, from Robert, the owner, who's got some of the loveliest staff I've ever seen in my life. And out of all the people to come over to kiss me, it had to be Robert. This is the story of my life. All right, okay. Kitchen73, when they opened up, they opened up as Kitchen73 for two reasons. Open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and 73 items on the menu. And now they are open, also serving up dinner, open in the evenings from Wednesday to Saturday. Come enjoy authentic, affordable Italian home-style cooking for dinner at Kitchen73 Laval. It's not only for breakfast anymore. Once again, it used to be 7 to 3, 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And now there's a good chance it's going to be 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. No, Robert says no. Robert wants to go home at one point. But they are open for dinner once again. And
I know Robert and I know Mike, the good guys, and thank you very much for having us. That's for sure. I have better hair.
There you go.
He's coming to kiss me. I don't want
there you go.
I want to do.
There you go. There you go. Wow. Hey, listen, this reminds me of Don Cherry and Bobby Orr, what we just saw over here. Hey, Don Cherry did this with Bobby Orr. Yeah, out of all the waitresses here, it's Robert that comes and kisses. John, we lost it. We don't have it anymore. And you know what? It appears neither does Italy, as they lost it too. But the beauty of soccer and sports, there's always tomorrow, huh? And tomorrow's another day.
Look at the example of Williams of Spain. Just think about that, and you'll be sleeping fine.
Thank you to everyone who was able to watch us on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. You check us out on Twitter at SIGPOD CFMTL. We talk CF Montreal. But today we talked Euro, Italy, and Spain, and we also talked Copa America with Canada and France. By the way, we'll be back for another edition of the Sick Podcast CF Montreal Talk tomorrow, because CF Montreal blew a 2-0 lead last night at Stade Saputo versus the Red Bulls, and they tied by a score of 2-2. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, and we'll also be able to recap the Copa America game between the Canadian men's national team and Argentina. In the meantime, until then, go Canada, go. For John Limniatis, thank you very much, John. This guy's a real trooper. Had a long day today, but he was able to be with us today. We very much appreciate it. And Robert and his fantastic staff and his partner here over at Kitchen73 in Laval, thank you very much. Bidding you a good night, even though Italy lost. It's the beautiful game, and every day is a good day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, CF Montreal Talk on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.